Alright guys, we are back today for the fourth and final installment, and Nate watches the entire Toy Story series, and today I actually have the Toy Story t-shirt on. I saved it for the last video. And I'm very excited to talk about Toy Story 4 today because, to be honest, I have not seen this movie since the theater. I bought it on Blu-ray relatively quickly after its release, and I wanted to get around to rewatching it right away. It's been about 4 years. This was released in 2019. I saw it opening weekend when it was released. And what's interesting about Toy Story 4, I feel like the way Toy Story 3 concluded, it was a perfect tie-up to the series. I didn't think that it needed any more. I felt like it gave the characters wonderful closure. It had such great heart, and Disney decided they wanted to make another one, and this one came 9 years after Toy Story 3, so you have some really large gaps in between these films, and I didn't know what to expect. And like I said in the third video for Toy Story 3, I was really hoping that this wouldn't just be a cash grab, because Disney is notorious, especially over the past several years, at making these cash grab films that don't have a lot of heart to them and kind of strip away from what makes their films so engaging and entertaining in the first place. And I went in to see this, and when I saw it the first time, I really loved it a lot. I thought that they did a really nice job with it, but as I said, it's been a few years since I've watched it. I never really know how my opinions are going to change of something after having not seen it for a few years, and I'm looking forward to talking about Toy Story 4 today. Toy Story 4 is directed by Josh Cooley. Woody has always been confident about his place in the world and that his priority is taking care of his kid, whether that's Andy or Bonnie. But when Bonnie adds a reluctant new toy called Forky to her room, a road trip adventure alongside old and new friends will show Woody how big the world can be for a toy. So, been a while since I'd seen this movie, was really looking forward to revisiting it, and I loved it a lot. I thought it was fantastic. I once again thought that it executed exactly what it set out to do perfectly, and I think this film, compared to 3 tackled a lot of very heavy emotional topics. I feel like it was very weighty, and it worked really well at accomplishing those things. This film is much more stripped back and simplistic, very similar tonally to the first film, in my opinion, where we get back to Woody's struggle with self-worth, and that's what most of this movie is purpose, right? The first film really looks at, like, okay, Buzz Lightyear comes into the picture. Woody is trying to come to terms with, is it his time to step away? Has he fulfilled his purpose as a toy well enough? And in this movie, he is now with Bonnie because Andy gave his toys to Bonnie at the end of the third film. And Bonnie is already kind of tired of Woody. She's not picking him to play consistently. He's being left in the closet. And so once again, he feels like he's being thrown out by the wayside. Well, one day Bonnie has to go to kindergarten for the first time, and she's incredibly stressed about it. She has a ton of anxiety and wants to take a toy, and her dad says, you can't take a toy with you. They don't allow it in the school. But he sneaks into Bonnie's backpack anyway. And while Bonnie's at school, these kids kind of bully her, and he sneaks out of there after this kid throws all of her arts and crafts stuff in the trash can. He picks some things up and sets them on the table for her when she's not looking, and she ends up creating Forky, who is a spork with googly eyes on it and a face that she's drawn. And he becomes cognizant and starts talking to Woody, and he thinks that he is trash. He doesn't think that he needs to be in the world. He thinks that he is meant for a single use and is supposed to be thrown away directly after. And Woody has to try to explain to Forky that he is more than that now, because Bonnie sees him as a toy and sees him as important. And the whole beginning of the film is him just trying to prevent Forky from jumping in a trash can. Well, the family shortly after announces they're going to go on a trip in an RV, because that was orientation that Bonnie went to, and now she's going to be going to start school shortly after they get back. And so they get in an RV together, and Forky jumps out of the RV, and Woody goes after Forky because he feels that it's his responsibility to keep Bonnie happy, similarly to what he did for Andy. And through a set of circumstances, they end up at this antique shop where he runs in once again to Bo Peep, and he runs into a doll named Gabby, who is set out to steal Woody's voice box because hers no longer works, and she thinks that it's the only way that she can find a home with a family. And most of the plot is Woody having to escape her grasp and get back to the RV with Forky to Bonnie. This film's premise is very simplistic and straightforward. They give it that road trip angle of the family pulling off on this exit to stay at an RV park that also has a carnival, which I really like that setting. It's very different than the other three films and very unique in that sense. I really like how simple the story of this is. It doesn't try to juggle too much. It's very much a Woody-centric film, which I'm sure a lot of people might have been upset that some of the other characters fell by the wayside, but I think Tom Hanks's portrayal of Woody over this long period of time is one of the most iconic parts of the entire series. You know, he got his closure with Andy in the last film, but I think coming to terms with going to a different family and having to leave Andy behind is something difficult. I think they wanted to give the character another like happy point, another turning point in his life. And so reintroducing Bo Peep, who in the third film, they just kind of acknowledge that she's gone. They just say, oh, we have some toys that are no longer with us anymore. Bo Peep is one of them. So we get the backstory as to why she left and what happened in that entire situation, which gives what I said was Woody and Bo Peep's before trilogy arc, which is these two people who love each other, who are separated for a very long period of time, who finally get the ability to be back together again. And I think the way that that's all handled is really well done. I like the new characters. I love the duck and the rabbit that Key and Peele play. I think they do an absolutely phenomenal job. Keanu as Duke Kaboom is hilarious. I think Christina Hendricks as Gabby is a really interesting villain too, because it's not even that she's the most evil character in the world. She just has never been loved, and she thinks that this is her only way to be loved is to get Woody's voice box. And I think that that is a really interesting arc too, is because Lotso also had a tragic backstory, but he's just straight evil. That character, they really pulled no punches with Lotso. And I feel like Gabby's character is much more well-rounded and interesting. And I really like the approach that they have. Her little ventriloquist dummy minions, I love the way they move. It's crazy how clean the animation in this is. The beginning sequence with Woody and Bo Peep when she's leaving 9 years earlier, when the family donates the lamp to another family, the way the house looks and the rain and just everything in that sequence, it feels so hyper realistic and just shows how far Pixar has come as an animation company. And I was just completely enamored watching this movie again. I don't think it's as strong as some of the other films in the series because of how simplistic it is, and I think because it's kind of dredging up the story after putting a tight-knit bow on it. But that's not to say that I feel like it's not necessary, because I think at what it's trying to accomplish, it does so very well and writes a very engaging and entertaining story that I think you can pull a lot from. And I had a lot of fun watching this movie as well. I had a blast rewatching the entire Toy Story series. It was so much fun viewing each and every film again and kind of developing my perspective for all four once again. It's a franchise that is very near and dear to my heart. If you've never seen Toy Story 4 or the entire franchise, you should definitely go watch these films. So have you seen Toy Story 4? Do you love it? Do you hate it? Leave me a comment down below. Let me know what you thought. I thought this movie was great. I don't think it's as strong as some of the other films in the series, but I still think it's really entertaining and well made. As always, if you can like the video and subscribe to the channel, helps me out a lot and lets me know the type of content you're looking for. I'm always putting out new material and look forward to getting more out for you in the near future. And as always, everyone, thank you so much for watching and have a great rest of your day.